Boxing experts have thoughts on the fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Here are some of the most weird responses. Joe Smith Jr. is one of the smartest people who have said anything about the 2019 fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. With a win over Bivol, Smith Jr. would have become the world champion, but he had trouble finding his flow until the later rounds. Ultimately, Bivol emerged successful, earning a unanimous decision victory as he expertly handled the fight years after winning the WBO title. The tough New Yorker wanted to keep his title by challenging Beterbiev for his belts. He almost made it, but his plans were cut short when he was stopped after only 2 rounds. After sparring with both athletes, Smith Jr. gave his opinion on how he thought the fight would go. "I can see Beterbiev trying to push the pressure early on and stay on him. The Bivol looks like it is being careful and fighting very well. I think the fight's going to build and be a great fight. The fight could go either way." Smith Jr. told The Ring, "You've got the Bivol with his combinations and feet. He could pick Beterbiev art or Beterbiev where he lands a big shot." He further added, "I believe it'll be a close fight. It could be a stoppage. Both men have the power and skill to stop each other. It's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's 50-50. Both men hold a slight advantage in certain areas. If I had to make a decision, I might choose to take my chances against Bivol." Teddy Atlas, a former manager who is now a pundit, praised Ball's chances by pointing out his mental toughness. Atlas expressed that he didn't think the ball would be broken. However, he acknowledged the possibility that Bivol might get physically overwhelmed by body shots. If Beterbiev could close the gap, this would require Beterbiev to take some risks in doing so. Atlas pointed out a few concerns with that strategy, notably Beterbiev's age and the condition of his skin, which had been cut and stitched multiple times, leaving scar tissue. While Bivol was not bothered by blood, Atlas questioned if a serious cut could affect the outcome, possibly leading to a stoppage. Despite this, Atlas emphasized that what meant most to him was Dmitry Bivol's ability to handle the mental pressure of the fight.
Now, he might get physically overrun by body shots if Beterbiev can close the gap, which he's going to have to take something to do that. And there's a couple things that go with that. His skin. He's almost 40. Forget about Father Time. I'll get to him in a minute. But his skin. He's got the older skin that has been cut. It has been cut. It has been stitched. There is scar tissue. You know, he doesn't care about blood. He don't care. But if he does get cut, and cut bad enough, does that possibly impact the stoppage? Possibly. Depends on what's going on, depends on how the fight's going, depends on how bad the cut is, depends on who the referee is, quite frankly. But that could come into play, But the most important thing for me is that Bivol can handle what's going to be thrown at him mentally.
Atlas continued by discussing the pressure Beterbiev will put on him, but he continued to back Bivol. Atlas claimed that he would Beterbiev approach his opponent with a jab, target the body and maintain pressure, thinking that if he could reach the body he would be in a position to secure a victory. He suggested that a crucial moment would come when Beterbiev knocks at the door, but stressed that Bivol would be ready to react and wouldn't allow himself to be overwhelmed like Beterbiev's previous opponents. Atlas concluded that the winner would be determined not just by technical skills but by who could handle the mental aspect of the fight, eventually predicting that Beterbiev would win by decision.
He will use the jab. He will step out of range and then step back. He will go take a walk around the corner, like the old timers said, when he has to take a walk around the corner and not stand in front of you. But he will come to you with that jab. He will close the gap. He will look to go to the body. He will look to continue to apply pressure. And if he can close that gap and get to the body of Bivol, then he'll be where he wants to be to have the best chance to win. I'm going to say Bivol's going to control range. I'm going to say Bivol's going to use that jab. I'm going to say Bivol's going to use his legs. And I'm going to say when that moment comes, and it always comes, when the devil knocks at the door, and it happens to everyone when they're in a tough situation. I don't care what you do, boxing, being a lawyer.
For many fighting aficionados, AOS, the biggest event of Saturday's road season program, was the best of the best for a variety of reasons. People have been advocating for Beterbiev versus Bivol to fight for the previous few years. To begin with, this matchup featured two undefeated fighters at the pinnacle of their prowess in the light heavyweight division. In addition, the contrasting styles created a captivating chess match pitting Beterbiev aggressive, power-driven strategy against Beterbiev's agile footwork and finesse. As a result, numerous experts and active fighters found it challenging to choose a victor before the fight. However, if cruiserweight champion G. Apaya firmly made his prediction for who would emerge victorious on fight night. Apaya told The Stomping Ground, "I keep going back and forth. I'm always moving towards Bivol, and Beterbiev is a great fighter. I'm just leaning towards Bivol because I respect the footwork. I'm more of a boxing style than a walk-forward boxer. The person who is going to win is the one who is going to make minimum mistakes." When talking it with Talk Sport, former champion Roy Jones Jr., who has fought at that weight, shared his thoughts on who would emerge winner. Although Jones Jr. thought the battle would be interesting, he felt one opponent had a little advantage over the other. He said, "That's a very good fight, and I have a hard time calling it. I've heard that the guys have sparred a few times, and one of them may have gotten the better of the other, but I don't know. In theory, if I didn't know that they had sparred before, I would pick Bivol because BBV is a puncher, and if he can hit Bell, he'll knock him out for sure. Beterbiev is one of the best pound-for-pound punchers this game has ever seen. If he can hurt Bivol with his punches, if he can catch him, then he has a chance." Roy Jones Jr. pointed out that many ignored the fact that Beterbiev had already been knocked down 3 or 4 times. He highlighted that this is often a vulnerability of powerful punchers. They don't take punches as well as they give them. To illustrate his point, Jones mentioned famous fighters like Julian Jackson, who was a devastating puncher but was knocked out by Gerald McClellan and Mike McClellan. He explained that such fighters aren't usually beaten by decision, but rather by knockout, as they can deliver strong punches but struggle to take them in return, he added. That being said, BBV is a good puncher, but I don't know if he takes a good punch because he's been down 3 or 4 times in nearly 20 fights. If you've been down that much in 20 fights, there's a problem there. I really think Bivol has the edge, and I'll go with him." Earlier this year, Paul Smith watched with worrying as his brother Callum tried to overcome Artur Beterbiev. The two began the highly awaited 2024 fight card, with BBV coming out on top as the first to halt the Liverpool man. Many in the boxing community felt Smith had the potential to deliver a stunning upset, especially after his impressive tenure as a super middleweight champion, which culminated in a title reign before he faced defeat against Canelo Alvarez. Smith made an impressive comeback at 175 pounds, generating hopes that he would challenge better, but he struggled to deal with the relentless pressure and power of the unified champion, leading to the fight being stopped in the 7th round. Smith, a former challenger for the world title and a British champion, has experienced the pinnacle of boxing personally, having sparred with Andre Ward. Following his close observation of Beterbiev, he firmly anticipated that the latter would emerge victorious. Smith said, "I can't see past Beterbiev's quality. He's really, really good. Having seen Beterbiev up close a couple of times, I side with Beterbiev. I think he'll finally get to him, but it's not a foregone conclusion by any stretch." Meanwhile, Hassan Rahman was convinced that Beterbiev's boxing abilities have not gotten the recognition they deserve. Beterbiev's reputation as one of the world's most lethal fighters has been created by his heavy hands. Although Beterbiev exudes a formidable presence, there are numerous admirable traits that stand out upon closer study, even if some of these might be overshadowed in a comparison with Bivol. The fighter who beat Canelo Alvarez stands out as one of boxing's most talented athletes, similar to Beterbiev. He has displayed remarkable skill and prowess throughout his rise to championship status. Rahman, a former heavyweight champion of the world, stays deeply engaged with the sport that brought him fame, busy nurturing the burgeoning career of his son Hassan Rahman Jr., a promising heavyweight contender. Rahman, known for his swift insights on big matchups, shared his thoughts on the showdown. He said BBV has great boxing skills. He had a tremendous amateur background and went to 2 Olympics. He further added, "Nobody has brought it out yet because his power is so destructive that it rolls everything Bivol. If he makes Beterbiev box, he'll beat him. He's a better fighter, I do think Bivol has better footwork, but I think Beterbiev has the ability to cut the ring off and make him fight. If you're telling me that Bivol is not going to get hit by Beterbiev, if you're not telling me that, then you're not telling me anything I want to hear, because he's going to lose. On the other hand, Eddie Hearn believed that Dmitry Bivol had the potential to overcome Beterbiev by securing a commanding 6-2 advantage early in their match. He suggested before the fight that Bivol should then rely on his agility to maintain his lead during their showdown. Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn was urging his fighter Dmitry Bivol to employ quick combinations, clever angles, and agile movement to thwart any explosive attacks from Beterbiev. The idea seemed solid on paper, yet Bivol's style as a combination puncher showed a vulnerability. His chin isn't the sturdiest, making him susceptible to body shots. While he thrives when he's the one giving blows, he struggles to react effectively when the tables are turned, and he faces counterattacks. In the 8th round of their bout last December, Bivol was clearly affected by a body shot delivered by Langdon Arthur. That strike drained much of his energy, prompting Bivol to take a more cautious approach for the remainder of the fight. A comparable moment occurred during the fight between Joe Smith Jr. and Bivol on March 9, 2019 in Verona, New York, when Smith landed a powerful right hand that rocked Bivol late in the 11th round. Bivol swayed unsteadily, resembling a dazed fighter as he retreated to his corner with the bell marking the end of the round. When you say it's a fight, fans fight, it really is. I hope the bigger casual world gets the importance of this fight for boxing, because it really is the best against the best. Eddie Hearn to Box Nation talking the Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol light heavyweight and disputed bout. Hearn added, "I think the only guy that can beat our Beterbiev is Dmitry Bivol, and maybe vice versa. It's the undisputed light heavyweight title on the line on Saturday night. It's almost like a ticking time bomb when you fight your BBF. The speed with which that ticks depends on your speed and ability and your movement to slow that clock down, because he's going to get you." It's when Hearn's prediction of Bivol triumphing over Beterbiev would carry more weight if Dmitry showed his skills against the formidable fighters in the 175 pounds division, such as Joshua Body, David Benavidez, and David Morrell. However, given that Bivol's most significant victories have been against Canelo Alvarez and Gilberto Ramirez, it's overly optimistic to expect him to come out on top against Beterbiev. Hearn continued, "So if you're Dmitry Bivol, what you want to do is make that clock tick nice and slow." Unfortunately, when you look at Callum Smith by the 4th and 5th rounds, that clock was already around here, and it was nearly time to go. Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you like this one.